Welcome to the channel. Welcome to Banter in the Box. We're back. Episode 77, Meet the Managers, Part 1. It's been a long, hot summer with barely any football. I mean, there was the Women's European Championships, and full disclosure, I have to say the quality of football was a pleasant surprise, and they finally brought it home. And the trouble is now, we're not going to hear the end of it. I mean, don't they go on about it? But it was excellent. Well done, ladies. But we are back for the main event, the Family Fantasy Football League. It has been too long. And for a long time there, I wasn't sure we were going to get our full allocation of 32 managers. But we just did it with just over 24 hours to spare. The last place went. But because it was so uncertain until the last minute how many people we were going to have, it's meant I'm a little bit behind with the annual, always eagerly awaited Meet the Managers series. But this is it, part 1. Later on, we'll be meeting the 8 lowest ranked managers in the Family Fantasy Football League this year, or what I like to call the relegation strugglers. That's my prediction anyway. So in this ye first Banter in the Box of the new season, we have a Wall of Shame update. It's that time of year when we get loads of Wall of Shame entrants. A quote of the week, one manager of the season point on offer for the quote of the week. Predictor challenge. I put it on the Facebook group, but I'm going to share a little bit more about that. The annual competition, another chance to earn manager of the season points at the end of the season. And then, of course, Meet the Managers, part 1. The first in a 4-part series where I introduce you to the people you'll be competing against next season, because it's important to know your enemy. So, Wall of Shame, hide your head in shame. Benny United manager Mark Benwell. One of the originals in the Family Fantasy Football League. He's competed in every single season, but he still can't get it right. He did enter a valid team, and funnily enough, I accused him erroneously at that point of entering an invalid team and called him out for being on the Wall of Shame till he corrected me. But then he went and proved me right in the end anyway, because with a few minutes to spare before the deadline for entering your teams closed, he tried to make a change to his team, but it would have been invalid. It would have meant he had more than one player from his non-nominated club. So that transfer was null and void, and that earned Mark a place on the Wall of Shame, which is where he appears every year, at least once. Also on the Wall of Shame, unsurprisingly, debut manager Niall Ponsford. I say unsurprisingly because the FFFL rules are quite complex, especially as Niall's has admitted when you don't read them at all. Niall entered an invalid team because he had more than one player from his non-nominated club. Now, in fairness to Niall, he was banking on one of those players being switched to another Premier League club, which did happen just before the deadline. So his team ended up being valid, but at the point he submitted it, it was invalid, and that earns him a place on the Wall of Shame. And our final entrant on the Wall of Shame is our first ever pop star celebrity in the Family Fantasy Football League. Take a bow, H from Steps. Another debut manager, so again, not surprising to see debut managers making mistakes. H also submitted a team that had more than one player from his non-nominated club, so he makes it on to the Wall of Shame. And if you're thinking, wow, H from Steps is in the Family Fantasy Football League, stay tuned. More on that in Meet the Managers Part 1. Now, quote of the week comes from none other than Never the Boys manager Jack Hoxby. He submitted his team to take part this season and added this little message on his email: cancel the 2022-2023 season. The winning team is in. Why is that the quote of the week? Well, only because the first league table has just been published and Jack is second from bottom. But you do earn a Manager of the Season point. Well done, son. Predictor Challenge next. Now, we do this every year, and every year just under half the managers take part, but it's your opportunity to earn Manager of the Season points. 30 Manager of the Season points on offer. Now, if you're watching this and thinking, what the hell are Manager of the Season points? Every season you can earn Manager of the Season points throughout the season. There'll be quizzes in the weekly updates. You can, if you get the right answer, you can earn Manager of the Season points. You can earn a Manager of the Season point for the quote of the week. You can earn Manager of the Season points for giving me a story about another FFFL manager for me to use in Banter in the Boxes. I promise to keep my sources anonymous. And you can also, there are loads of ways that you can earn Manager of the Season points, and you can also earn Manager of the Season points for the Predictor Challenge. Now, at the end of the season, the manager with the most Manager of the Season points is crowned Manager of the Season. And importantly, the Manager of the Season wins £15 million in free tactical gambits to be used next season. Last season's Manager of the Season was none other than Benny United manager Mark Benwell. The second time he's won it in 3 years, by the way. And so Mark this season has £15 million of free tactical gambits to use. So those tactical gambits would normally cost Mark £15 million. He gets them for nothing. What's tactical gambits, I hear you ask? Go and read the rules. They will make or break your season. So the Predictor Challenge, your chance to earn Manager of the Season points. And this is all you need to do. Email me your prediction of who you think will end the season first, second, third and fourth in the Family Fantasy Football League. So who you think is going to win the league, who you think is going to finish runner-up, who you think is going to finish third, and who you think is going to finish fourth. They are the prize money places for league position. You can also earn 5 Manager of the Season points if you can tell me who you think is going to win the Family Fantasy Football League Cup this season, and Manager of the Season points on offer if you can tell me who you think is going to finish bottom of the league and get that dreaded, albeit these days mythical, wooden spoon. So 6 predictions I want from you. Email to me your top 4, your cup winner, and the person you think is going to finish bottom of the league. And for each prediction you get right at the end of the season, you will earn 5 Manager of the Season points, which could make all the difference between you being crowned Manager of the Season or not. So that is your Predictor Challenge. And I should say, most importantly of all, those predictions have to be in by Friday the 19th of August. So you've got almost 2 weeks, not quite, week and a half, to get those predictions in for your Predictor Challenge. Any predictions received after the 19th of August are null and void. Now, the part you've all been waiting for. Meet the Managers, Part 1. And in Part 1, we have the 8 lowest ranked managers in the Family Fantasy Football League. The people I think are going to struggle to avoid relegation from the league. And the lowest ranked manager in the Family Fantasy Football League this season is none other than Sarah Olive Goodwin. Team name on the buses, and Sarah is a debut manager. So this is her first season in the Family Fantasy Football League. An unknown quantity like a number of debut managers this season. Very little form to go on, which is why I've placed her bottom of the pile in terms of Family Fantasy Football League ranking. Now, I love a good team name, and I love to find out the origin of a team name. So when Sarah put her team in and it was on the buses, I thought, on the buses, what's that all about? So I asked Sarah's partner, Simon Hoxby, fellow FFFL manager, what the team name was all about. And he said, Sarah's got a job on the buses. I went, really? So I did some research, and sure enough, for those of you that are old enough to remember it, the BBC are remaking the 60s sitcom On the Buses, and Sarah has got a part in that show, playing none other than Olive, the conductor. And I have to say, the resemblance is uncanny. I mean, if I didn't know any better, I wouldn't believe that was a photo of Sarah. I would believe that was a photo of Olive from On the Buses. But that is a photo of Sarah. Understandable why she got the role. Hopefully her role on the buses will not detract from her debut season, because I think it's going to be a tough season. She started in a respectable 27th place at the end of game week 1. And, well, I think if Sarah ends the season in 27th place, she'll consider that a good win. Ranked 31st in the table, none other than the former Wales manager, Ryan Giggs. Now, I know what you're thinking. This is a Premier League legend who's managed. Surely he would be ranked higher than 31st. Well, he would be, but he only managed Wales, and he didn't last very long at that. Manager Mark Giggsy Collier. That's his pseudonym. His real name is Ryan Giggs. Team name, Dial Square FC. I haven't yet had time to work out the origin of that team name. Maybe it's something to do with him not being that cool, so you dial a square. Maybe it's some start-up he did. I don't know. But this is Mark's debut season in the Family Fantasy Football League. I'm expecting him to struggle. He's had a pretty good start at the end of game week 1, 21st. Not bad at all. Ranked 30th in the Family Fantasy Football League. None other than H from Steps. I'm still pinching myself. Huge Step fans. Couldn't believe it when he asked to join the Family Fantasy Football League. Going by his real name, not many of you will know that this is his real name, Sam Benwell, aka H from Steps. Team name, Abs FC, because of his washboard stomach, I imagine. He's all about his looks, his H, and this is his debut season in the Family Fantasy Football League. Comes from good pedigree. H's dad has won the Family Fantasy Football League twice in the past, although you do have to go back more than half a century for the last time his dad did win it. But there's something there in terms of form, which is why I've put him just above, well, the previous two managers and ranked him 30th in the league, although a good start from H. Top half of the table, 15th at the end of game week 1, bodes well. But as my wife keeps telling me, it's a marathon, not a sprint. She would say that. She's currently bottom. Ranked 29th in the Family Fantasy Football League this season is another debut manager. Obviously, no form to go on at all. Niall Ponsford. Team name, Bantonio Conte's Barmy Army. Number of previous seasons in the FFL. None, because this is a debut season for Niall. He does have a bit of form, which is why I've elevated him above the previous 3 managers. Niall was the assistant manager to Never the Boys last season. To be honest, we didn't see much change in Jack's fortunes since he employed Niall as assistant manager. Jack still struggled throughout last season, just finishing above the relegation zone, which is probably why he sacked Niall as his assistant after only 1 season. So Niall thought he'd get his revenge by becoming a manager in his own right, and he's had an incredibly good start, both on and off the pitch. On the pitch, he currently sits 2nd in the table at the end of that first week, and on the pitch, he's been having some great banter on the Family Fantasy Football League Facebook group, and there's a bit of a bromance brewing between Niall and the Mad Hatter. Keep your eyes on that. That's all I'm saying. Ranked 28th in the Family Fantasy Football League. The 4 debut managers are done. Now we've got managers that have all been in the Family Fantasy Football League before. And in 28th, it is none other than Ryan Pez Perrin. Team name Pez United. He had a filthy, disgusting team name last season. I'm not even going to repeat it. He's gone back to his original Pez United, and Ryan, I thank you for that. 6 previous seasons in the Family Fantasy Football League. There are no excuses anymore, Ryan. You should know what you're doing. No major honours in those 6 seasons. Not even a single Manager of the Month award. And he actually won the wooden spoon. I say won, received, I should say, received the wooden spoon in 2021. His highest league finish was 15th back in 2018, and back then there were less than 32 managers, so even that wasn't a top half of the table finish, but it was impressive. Ranked 27th in the Family Fantasy Football League managers, Megan Moo Hoxby, the manager of Megan Hoxley Chamberlain. 10 previous seasons in the Family Fantasy Football League. That is none other than veteran status. Forgot to mention, by the way, Pez United can't complain about being ranked 28th in the table. They started the end of week 1 30th and in the relegation zone. But back to Megan. 10 previous seasons in the Family Fantasy Football League. Something of a veteran, but no major honours in those 2 years. Not even a Manager of the Month award. Megan's highest finish, a top half of the table finish, 12th in 2019. The best that Moo has ever done, and it's looking like it's going to be a tough season for Megan. Although, not a bad start by her standards, 18th at the end of game week 1. Ranked 26 in the Family Fantasy Football League is another Family Fantasy Football League veteran, Angela Addis. Team name Norfolk and Chance FC. Angela has been in the Family Fantasy Football League for 16 previous seasons. She's well and truly a veteran. And she does have some honours. She lifted the Family Fantasy Football League Cup way back in 2003. No Manager of the Month awards in those 16 years. And you're thinking, hang on a minute, she's a cup winner. How can she be ranked so low? Well, it's because she's also a 3 times wooden spoon winner in 2000, 2002 and 2011. And her highest ever finish in the league was 9th back in 2006, 16 years ago. Angela normally struggles. And she holds a Family Fantasy Football League record, albeit an unwelcome one. She holds the record for the joint most wooden spoons with 3. 2 other managers share that accolade with Angela. George Kane, no longer in the Family Fantasy Football League, and Lyndon's Lovely's manager, Joe Hoxby. Angela started the season, well, she'll be quite pleased with this, 22nd in the table. Sorry, 28th. 28th. So she won't be quite pleased with that. Just hovering above the relegation zone, 28th in the table. And your last manager in part 1 is ranked 25th of the 32 managers, and it is none other than Martin Evil Twin Maloney. Team name Coldplay United. 3 previous seasons in the Family Fantasy Football League. 2 absolutely awful seasons, including finishing second from bottom, and 1 absolutely amazing season. No major honours in those 3 seasons. No Manager of the Month awards, but a 3rd place finish back in 2021 did net Martin at least a share of the prize money that year. But he's just got to hope doesn't turn out to be a 1 season wonder. He's back to prove that it wasn't a 1 season wonder this season, but it hasn't been a great start. 22nd in the table at the end of game week 1. So that is it for Banter in the Box. Meet the Managers, part 1. We're back. I'll get to part 2, part 3, part 4 as quickly as I can. The videos will probably become thick and fast. We've also got to do the Family Fantasy Football League Cup draw. And at some point this weekend, I'll be doing your game week 1 review. The videos will be coming thick and fast at the early part of the season. But hey, it's all good. Boy, have we missed it. Until next time, take care, everyone. Bye-bye.